All right, let's see how many come back. Yeah, had technical difficulties. I was getting a thing that kept saying reconnect. My sister said she was still getting a picture, but then somebody, Haas had said he heard the voice but no video. So he said refresh the page. I tried doing that. It cut it off. Okay, Leslie's back. I'm gonna give it a minute to get people to come back and see what happens. But man, yeah, technology is something. I know that's one of the things. Vic is back. What's happening? Welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah, y'all know. Once I click refresh, it's totally took it off. So I'll have to be able to go back and look at the comments, and then I'll make comments on your comments. Yeah, I know you're there. I can see that y'all are back. Thanks. But I'll wait just another second because I know Haas is the one that told me to refresh. So he better get back here. Peanut was on. And I know Vicky was on. Vicky Hill, y'all remember from Grant. So Grant was represented. Grant was in the house. Harlem in the house. But look, I'm just going to move on because they can end up watching the video as well, the broadcast. But so I was saying that what we want to do is celebrate our friends through thoughts and moments. Think about, even as I look at the people who sign on, they're friends of mine, and their thoughts and moments that we shared together that will always allow me to celebrate. See, Victor put the Doomsday Defense because we used to celebrate being Cowboy fans, okay? And so, so you find reasons that you celebrate, and when you see that person's name, that celebration comes to mind. Welcome back, Haas. That celebration comes to mind, and that's how you can celebrate your friends. So one of the friends that I celebrate, and here's another thing that I do. Hey, what's up, Greg? Welcome back. Good. Thank y'all for coming back on. I celebrate, one of the biggest friends that I celebrate from my move to Charlotte actually is my friend Renee Bradford. I call her my sister in Chicago. And so I celebrate her by having, this is her company, Stacey Bone. So I wear her t-shirt as one way of, I'm doing it purposely for the broadcast, but realize that every time I wear the t-shirt, I think about Renee. And one of the reasons I met Renee, I lived in Chicago for 23 years. I met Renee the first week that I moved to Chicago. And the funny thing is that my friend Errol, who I met through my sister Zette, who's on there, Errol had lived in Chicago, and he was relocating out of Chicago at the same time that I was moving in. And so even when I went down to Case, Chicago to look it over before my relocation, I hung out with Errol, and he was taking me around, introducing me to people. And as it turns out, we couldn't catch up. One of the people he wanted to introduce me to was Renee, and she wasn't available. Then I moved to Chicago, and I met her the first week. He had never said her name. I ran into her, and we got into a conversation, and she ended up saying, well, yeah, she knew Errol, and I was like, oh, wow. And then when I checked her references, because naturally, after talking to her, I sent Errol an email, said, look, I met this girl, Renee. She said she knew you, and he said, that's who I was trying to introduce you to when you came down to check out Chicago. See, so it always falls into place. So Renee has been like my sister. She's my Chicago sister since 1988 when I moved to Chicago. Meanwhile, one of the things that happened is when I decided to leave Wall Street Journal and become an entrepreneur in my speaking business, well, in the speaking business, as you're starting it, the money's not rolling in. So you have to have a side job. And so part of my side job was Renee employed me as one of her waiters because she does catering. And so she had me as one of her waiters for banquets. And in the process, I picked up some clients and would do waiting and bartending. And I called it my side job. Now, side for me was SIDE, something I do easily. And the thing is, even though I was in my speaking business, serving people, that's what I do in my waiting business. That's the same thing I do in my speaking business. I was still serving people. So always keep your goal in line. Anything that you do, you're still celebrating yourself by going the path that you need to go. And so I didn't say, oh my God, I'm doing this. No, I was like, okay, this is the path I need to go. But the thing is, what I did is I created a business card for my catering, for my waiter and bartending service called The Exclusive. And I call myself The Exclusive because not everybody would be able to get my service. And I had a tagline that said, service always as good as the last time. And I told my clients, I said, that was my tagline to remind you that every time you hired me, I was going to give you that good service. But it was also my tagline to remind myself that every time that I did a job as a waiter or a bartender, I wasn't doing what I wanted to be doing in terms of being a motivational speaker. So I was hoping it was my last time being a bartender or waiter, because I wanted my business to jump off, okay? So you're still celebrating yourself as you celebrate through people. Meanwhile, because Renee gave me that opportunity, when it was time for me to move to Chicago, and because of our to Charlotte, because of our relationship, what I was able to do was, if you saw in my post last week, or last month, June is when I signed my lease to become an actual resident of North Carolina. And I moved all my stuff down here, and then drove back to Chicago and lived in Renee's house for the month of June, rent-free, because she was helping me. And that way I closed out my contracts in Chicago and used that money so that I can relocate, and which I did in July, and really fully moved down and became a resident of Charlotte. So that's why I celebrate Renee. And that's what I'm saying. You can find reasons to celebrate your friends. And so if you're in Chicago, Stacey Bone Catering is still up and going strong, and many of you know that as well. Meanwhile, you can also celebrate your friends. Let's see, I celebrated my good friend of mine, Almetris Stanley. Almetris was the person who I was renting her house at the time before I moved to Charlotte, and she gave me a very good deal, and you know, and because she gave me a real good deal because I was a friend. It was the house that she had grown up in, and so it worked to both of our mutual advantages that I was staying in there rather than her having no tenant. And she also, again, you know, gave me a lot of leeway, and when it was time for me to move, she was very helpful. I gave her enough notice so that she could get the house together to re-rent it. So, and then she's always supportive. And then lastly, I celebrate, in terms of this celebration of my anniversary in Charlotte, I celebrate my good friend Barry Mixon, because Barry was the one that helped me, one of the people that helped me pack the U-Haul to move my stuff back down here, but he's an expert at packing U-Haul trucks. And now that's not what he does for a living, but he did such a good job that, you know, in terms of how he put the boxes and where he put the mattress and everything like that, he did it so systematically that it was very helpful to me, because when there were 3 of us packing, 4 of us, but when I got to Charlotte, there was only me unpacking. And so my final celebration on that is a person whose name I don't know. And so I just called him an angel. And that's because an angel is the only thing that a stranger is the only thing God hasn't made in your life. He's made angels. And what happened was, as I was unpacking the boxes, I was using the dolly and the hand truck, and it was just me. And just when I got to my mattress in my U-Haul truck, this guy, Angel, walked by, and he said, "Do you need some help?" Because the mattress was the only thing I needed help with getting down the stairs, because it wasn't stable. And so he helped me carry the mattress in, and then he moved on his way. So God put that angel there for me right at the right time, which is what he always does in our lives. So I celebrate him, and I was able, and it turns out he spoke no English. I happened to see him a month later, and with another guy, they were sitting out, and so the other guy translated for me, and I told him, because I went and bought a 12-pack of beer and sat there and had a beer and told him that I was thanking him for helping me, and the guy translated that for me. And you know, I don't know that I saw him many times after that. And sometimes that's what happens in our lives. An angel drops in, blesses us, and moves on. And so that's, again, there's God's love, you know, undoing everything, you know. So celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. And then, so meanwhile, one of the things I do to celebrate my friends on my daily calendar, my business calendar, I try to have something to celebrate every day. Right now I'm behind, and my sister will laugh about that, but I try to have somebody's birthday, somebody's anniversary, even if the day that somebody died, on my calendar, so that every day I'm celebrating something and someone. Because just like Belinda said, waking up every day is a celebration. It is. And so that's why one of my acronyms, you know, is TGIT, thank God it's today. And then TGIT, thank God it's tonight. Because to be able to wake up, go through a whole day and get a chance to do it again, that's a celebration that we need to be having all the time as we celebrate God. So TGIT to you, and in fact, I've even created a new, I call it a TGIT stress tip, which you can see on my YouTube channel. See, so I'm starting to really branch things out, but it's all the genesis of one thing, and it's celebration. Another good friend of mine, Ronnie Bryant, here in Charlotte, gave me another great idea. He said what he does is he has a shopping bag, and whenever someone sends him a thank you card for something that he done, he puts it in that bag. And whenever his energy gets low, he just reaches into the bag, shakes it up, and randomly pulls out a card of somebody thanking him for something that he did and reminding him of just how much of a blessing he is. And so that's, again, he gets to celebrate himself through someone else. Remember, you celebrate your friends through you, through the moments and thoughts of how you've been a blessing in their lives and how they've been a blessing in your life. So that's my what, who, and how I celebrate my 9-year anniversary in Charlotte. One more I want to celebrate with you. Hey, Lewis, and what's up, Amos? One more I want to share with you is in August, next month, I'm looking to celebrate my 64th birthday. I don't, until I get there, I'm not there. I'm still celebrating 63, because that what I'm going to do is, as I'm looking to celebrate my 64th, who I'm celebrating? I'm celebrating you. I'm celebrating you by being who I am. See, by being who I am, the reason it celebrates you is because, for instance, you logged onto this broadcast. You're allowing me to share my message and be who I am, and that encourages me that I'm on the right track. Even the notes I get from you saying, that was good, this touched me, I needed this. You know, that allows me to keep recognizing that as I celebrate God through myself, I celebrate him through you. So I'll be celebrating you. And how do I celebrate my 64th year? The same way I celebrated my 63rd. One day at a time, 365 days, one at a time. I'm always going to be celebrating. And I'm celebrating, yes, my sister, that's Zetine Thorne, celebrating being her twin. We're what's called Irish twins. I'm born in August of 55. She's born the following June of 56. So we're only 10 months apart. Because what happened is my mother and father saw how great a job they did in bringing me into the world. They said, oh man, we got to get another one of these. This is awesome. We are the parents of Sporty. We got to see if we can get another one. So that's what happened. And in the process of doing it, guess what? They got Zetine. And now, man, what a gift that they got. They got both me and her. That's like getting, you know, Steph and Thompson on the same team, or Durant. Okay, but anyway, you know, so they got two wonderful blessings, and I love my sister. And even those of you who know both of us always get the laugh. Say, yeah, she's the female Sporty, and I'm the male Zet. And so it's a great thing. There's another thing. Celebrate. Even though people say family is everything. Yeah, family is everything, including the biggest pain in the ass sometimes. So it's not an automatic that everyone has a great family relationship. And sometimes you got to think about that, because we use that as a cliche where we just blood is thicker than water, all that. But some people don't have good family relationships. So don't exclude them or make them feel less important, because when you say, well, hey, family is everything, and they don't have that good relationship, you could almost push them back. You can say, my family is everything to me. But I realize that not everybody has a good relationship. So again, another thing to celebrate by being you. Meanwhile, even though I say I celebrate 365 days, one at a time, I want to remind you, in terms of being who I am, I'm not up 365, 24/7. I'm not in a good mood 365, 24/7. But I'm up more than I'm down. I'm positive more than I'm negative. And I'm going forward more than I'm going backwards. And I always remind people that there's nothing wrong with just reframing that going backwards, to realizing that every now and then you just need to step back and take a look at your work. Step back and see what you've done. You've done a lot of good things, a lot of great things, but we focus on the negative because that's what people tend to remind us of. And sometimes that's what we remind ourselves of. We get so caught up in saying, well, I need to do better, that we make it a slap on our wrist instead of a decent goal, because we do want to be better, you know. But sometimes what's wrong with being where you are? You know, better is a goal, not a requirement. And so, sometimes, be where you are. Even that we'll see that in Bible scripture, and we'll even say it because it's in Proverbs somewhere where it says, you know what, I'm okay with where I am. And that's what we say it, but sometimes we don't live it. Be okay with where you are. And so take a look at your work. And that's why when I tie this all up, when I talk about celebration, you've seen the post, but my new t-shirt is coming out. It's out now. It's available online. It's Joy, Joy, just one you. And with each t-shirt, people will get one of my passing thoughts cards. Remember when I said you have to celebrate your friends with how you think? Well, Joy is Joy, just one you. And we all know that there's nobody else like you. So why would you not celebrate being you? And so you'll get one of two cards. You'll either get this one, well, you get them both actually, because my Joy card says, in fact, when people say only you, because I'll get people say only you would think of that, Sporty. Well, I take it and say, well, then that means if I didn't do it, it wouldn't get done. And I was the one that was sent to do that. So therefore, I've got to make sure I be who I am. And that's what you've got to make sure you're being who you are. Because if you're not who you are, we miss the opportunity of what you bring to the stew. Everybody's different. And so celebrate that joy of being you and what you bring to the plate to help other people celebrate. And so on the back of the card, it says, in fact, when people say only you, that means without you, certain things wouldn't get done. And I call those my passing thoughts, because you'll get 5 with each t-shirt, and you can just pass it along to uplift somebody's spirit. But you'll get a combination, like I said, of joy, just one you, or especially for our religious-minded people, inspirational, but it's just my faith. And that Joy is that Jesus owns you. It's just to recognize what better thing to celebrate than understanding your faith and your personal Savior in Jesus Christ, and who is mine. And I don't erase my religious beliefs to support someone else's and respect someone else's. I'm not knocking whatever your relationship is, but I'm not hiding mine so that you will feel comfortable. And when I'm in your space, I expect you to boast about your religion and your belief, because I'm in your space, and that's okay. I know when you say this name, that this is the name that I replace that with. So I'm not challenged or threatened or intimidated by someone else's religious belief. I see how it supports mine, because I'm glad you believe in something more important, more than you needing to believe in what I believe in. So meanwhile, it says worth celebrating because he is and he does. He's joy and he owns you. And on the back, what I did is I put excerpts from Psalm 23, 1, 2, and 6. And it says, the Lord is my shepherd. He lets me rest. He leads me. He guides me. And I will live in the house of the Lord forever. And isn't that what joy is about, celebrating? So that takes us back to the Bible scripture that we opened with, and just recognizing that you have to celebrate God and what he has done in your life, and you have to celebrate you. So you celebrate God through you, through your friends, through the occasions and the situations that have happened in your life. And by the way, going back to that 365, 24/7, you know how we say, well, I'm having a bad day. Try not to have a bad day. Now, that's one thing I don't have. I don't have a bad day. I have a bad hour. I have 2 bad hours in the same day, but I'm not going to have a bad day, y'all. Do not use up a whole day in a bad mood and down. You know that you're depressed. You know that things are going well. Your job is to not focus on let me be down and out. Let me figure out a way to get out of this mood. It's okay to go on and stay there for about an hour or so, because sometimes a little dejection is good for us. It gives us the time to stop and reassess what's going on. When you're down, ask yourself, why am I down? What happened? What part did I play? Don't start blaming somebody else. They did this to me. No. People do what you allow them to do. So you allow this person to get close enough to do X, Y, Z. So now what you have to decide is, okay, do I want that to happen to me again? So this is where I have to draw the guidelines or even the boundaries for certain people in my life. And that goes back to that comment I made about family being everything. Sometimes you have to say, well, you know what? This person in my family is not working out for me. And let me also add one more asterisk, and that is that a negative person does not have to be a bad person. sometimes people bring us a negative spirit through well-intended action, where they are trying to tell us what they want us to do with our future, what they know about our past. They may be thinking they're trying to encourage us, but they bring a negative spirit. If they're afraid of what you're doing, when I stepped out on faith, as they call it, to be an entrepreneur, there were people saying, "Oh man, you left the job," and so they're scared. And so that could be a negative spirit. So sometimes I have to put all of those people who are saying that I'm taking too big of a risk, I have to put them on pause. I have to move them out of my life for a second to get my momentum going, because I need to keep hearing a message that's saying you can do this. I need to keep being able to say, Joy, there's just one you. You're the only one that can do this. It hasn't been done yet. That's why you've been called to do this. So what's your calling? See, I have to have that conversation with me. And they may be scared for me because they're scared for themselves. And so I respect that. But I respect it by putting them in the side and get the momentum going that I need. And then they can say, okay, now I see why you were doing that. Because no one really knows why you're doing what you're doing. Do you know? So it all comes together. Joy is just about celebration. Celebrate the things and the friends, and how you celebrate in your life makes a difference. All right, what's up, Dondi? So, as we close out, put some things in there that people can read when they go over this broadcast. Hey, Kathy, I'm going back now, seeing some people who join, and put some things on there so people can see. Remember, what, who, and how. What is something that you're celebrating? Who are you celebrating that through, and how are you celebrating? You may give someone some good ideas of how they could be celebrating something, because sometimes we take celebration for granted, because we take the people in our lives for granted, that because they're so close. So even the Bible says that, the wise man comes from afar. The Bible doesn't say it that way, but we all know that cliche. And in fact, that was one of the things Jesus said: I can't do the miracles in my hometown. Because why? Because the people are looking at, oh, well, isn't he just a shepherd's son? See, that's what we do with our friends. That doesn't make us a bad person. It's just that it's just that we don't see the glow in the people that are close to us. Get this though, it's because we don't see the glow in ourselves. See, if I don't think that I'm worthy of being next to someone who's phenomenal, then therefore I don't see them as being phenomenal. Think about that. Do you think you can hang out with Steph Curry? Do you think that's why when we see the celebrities, hey, instead of just recognizing that they're just another person, and they appreciate it even more when you treat them that way. I've met a lot of celebrities in my life, and I've always been able to treat them that way, and they really like that of having someone just talk to them as a person. And Zet, I like that. Put people on pause. Yeah, and putting them on pause, again, it just means you don't have to cut them loose. You just have to recognize that, okay, right now, this person is not what I need in my life to get where I'm going. But I know they have good intentions. So let me just not talk to them every day or as regularly as I have been talking to them. Maybe I'll just text them, or maybe I won't text them. Something that you have to do. This is your life. Something that you have to do to break the pattern that you have with that person, so that you can reshape where you need to go in your life, as well as take them along when the time comes for them to go along. So even as I close out, someone who just signed on is Yvette Santos, who was a wonderful, wonderful friend to my late niece, Shashawn Crawford, who is one of those spirits that I always celebrate. And one of the ways I celebrate Shashawn, I kept the last voicemail that she sent me. And every now and then, I listen to that voicemail. And so again, people, and y'all, we have to recognize that all of us are going to die one day. I've got those of y'all from Grant, I've got my last YouTube post that Butch sent me. So if I feel like being in the mood to talk to Butch, I can look at that video where he talks about his cancer and what he's doing and how he has stayed positive and dealt with enjoying the last days of his life. Y'all, we got a lot to celebrate. So thank you for joining on to the broadcast. And thank you for continuing to celebrate the people that you celebrate through you. And go to the website and get your Joy t-shirt, because the Joy t-shirts are only there while they're available, according to the sizes. On this book, because I know Haas already got his and Zet got her, but because I ordered them. I'm not in the t-shirt making business. I ordered them for Zet's bus ride, and I always order some extra ones that I can sell to let people have that message as well. And I call them my tease shirts, not t-shirt, tease, because the shirt gives you a part of the message. It teases you with the message, whereas when you know the full message, you can celebrate it even more. All right? So thanks, God bless. Let me look at some quick things. Celebrating a vessel for good. Yes, Amos, thank you for that. Yep, Butch. All right, okay, Mark. Thank you, Vic. All right, who else we got in? Oh my God, you do the same thing, Yvette. Right. See, sometimes we don't realize, and that remember, whenever you celebrate, somebody else is celebrating the same thing, and that's what gets us. Sometimes we think we're the only one. Vic, celebrating my lifetime friendship. Yes, Vic, we've now known one another for over 50 years, because that's the thing about growing up in the projects. We've got so many friends. What else? I'm gonna look at some of the things. I'm gonna spend those. Anybody else? What the broadcast is really over, because I try to keep it to could be people's lunchtime. But I'm just gonna go down and look at some of our things and some of the comments, and just say some things to y'all. And thank y'all for being on there, and just celebrate. Continued blessings, Sporty. Thank you, Amos. Yeah, and we got to make it to seeing you sometime soon. All right. Okay, these ones I got already. Belinda, somebody I met through my yellow ribbon programs with the military. She's one of the family members, and she's just got a great spirit, and we connected well while I was there, and I appreciate it for staying on. Greg Lane, somebody I met through Toastmasters, and we sat and we had a ball, cracking up laughing at the conference dinner. It was really cemented our friendship. I think it was either last year or a year before last. So I can celebrate Greg. And I got a chance to celebrate his wife as she competed in the contest earlier this year. See, so there's all those things. Leslie, somebody who I met in Chicago, who has always cracked me up, and we have always had so many good jokes. And I love her daughter, Amanda. Give Amanda a shout out for me. She's one of those examples of somebody who was a little girl when I met her, and now she's a grown up with kids. Well, I think she has at least one child. I know that. So I know she's a mother. And so I celebrate when I see my former kids that I helped when I did volunteer work at the Boys and Girls Club. Now they're friends of mine on Facebook, and so grown-ups. And oh my God, Corla Hawkins, that's Mama Hawk, one of the greatest people that I celebrate. I still have Mama Hawk. Now see, I'm gonna make you laugh. See, this is how God does things. Let me show y'all, make y'all laugh. When you see that when it says Mama Hawk, see this? This is my ID that says I'm an uncle, which I have actually put on my website and on my business card, Uncle Sporty. And I got that from when I used to volunteer with Corla Hawkins. They call her Mama Hawk. And she taught children through social grace as well as academically. So all the male had to be uncles, the women were aunts. She even had somebody who they call them grandma. And so that was, and I've never let that go. I always keep my identification that says I'm uncle. That's the highest title for me. Greg, we celebrate you. Thank you, Greg, for a great addition to our lives. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, Greg. And it's always mutual. Think about that. Normally, if you celebrate somebody being in your life, well, I'll tell you, for instance, I'm not going to be in somebody's life who I don't like. Because that, when I say to you, celebrate yourself and put people on pause, that I also cut people loose. So I am consciously in people's lives who I love, genuinely, and for whatever that time span is. Remember, I talked about the angel that God sent. That's what I say. God sends people into your life, and he doesn't require that you keep them all. So don't be upset when you have someone who's in your life for a prescribed amount of time. Celebrate that they came for that reason. I try not to use the term ex with my former girlfriend. Because there's not an ex sounds like they got chopped out, but that was my taste in women at the time, or I was their taste in men. So why do we have to have an adversarial relationship now that we're no longer the right ones forever? See, there's a lot of stuff that we have to think about this also tells you why you can't beat yourself up for what you didn't do, because you had to go back. I'll close with you, Belinda. Life lessons intended for everyone. Whatever the lesson was you got from that relationship, that's what you have to do. What'd you say, Vic? There you go. Right, because you know I get on a tangent because it's consistency. Everything connects in. So in fact, I'll make that my final message, is that you know that my company is called The Top Line. And the top line is how I feel affects other people. Life is about going from one puzzle to the next. You're either a small, medium, or large piece of every puzzle in your family, business, or social relationships. Yet no matter what puzzle piece size you see yourself as, without you, the puzzle is incomplete. So keep being the puzzle in the people's lives that you are involved in and touch. And remember that sometimes in a puzzle, you may be the nucleus, and you should be the nucleus of the puzzle of your life. Well, what does the nucleus have to do in a puzzle? It's the middle piece. It has to be patient. It has to wait for all the parts around it to build themselves to it. So those are the friends that you bring in. Those are the life lessons, the situations that you bring in, the stress that you learn how to handle and make it a part of your everyday life, and master your stress. So as you bring all that stuff towards you, your puzzle will become more complete. So have patience. Have patience with yourself so that you can celebrate who you are. Thank you. God, what you say? Oh, some people call it a season. I got a season. And Kathy, that's awesome. Everybody likes that poster. People come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And the reason and the lifetime you can't control. Whatever the reason that person came into your life, whenever that thing happens for the rest of your life, you think of that person. What you control is the season. How long do you keep that person in your life once you see what the lesson is, if it's good or bad? How long do you keep that person in your life to cement that reason, that lesson in your life? So control your seasons and keep moving on. Look, I'm going to be out of here because I got things to do, places to go, people to see. But so do you. God bless you, and I hope I see you soon. Hey, Ruthie, over and out. Ciao.